Okay, so at this point, I think you all know how to annotate. Remember that you're highlighting words you don't know, you're commenting on the side or on a separate sheet of paper anytime you have an idea or a question, or maybe you're making a prediction about what might happen in the story. You're underlining really important details, especially when it has to do with our focus question. And if you have anywhere where it seems really humorous, but maybe a little horrifying, you're marking it with an exclamation point. So you saw me do that in class, and you saw, if you watched the last video, you saw me do it there as well. If you need a reminder on that or need some help with the last part, remember that video is there for you to watch. So I'm going to go down. We are on our last chunk, or our last section. So it's chunks 7 through 11, I believe, 7 through the rest of the story. And today, the focus question is, how does the plot unfold, causing character change? So how does the plot, remember, the plot is the sequence of events in a story. So it starts with the exposition, goes into the rising action, the climax, the falling action, and then finally the resolution. You have read most of the story and you are going to finish the story today. So at any point where you might think that there's other information from previous parts of the story, you may include that in your evidence for today. But I am going to start by looking at chunk 7, and I'm not going to annotate because I think you can do that on your own. So I'm just going to, one thing I am going to do is just underline anywhere where I see the plot unfolding, causing character change. All right, so in the middle of the night, he was still awake and he knew his wife was awake. "Do you think Wendy changed it?" she said at last, in the dark room. "Of course." "Made it from a veldt into a forest and put Rima there instead of lions?" "Yes." "Why?" "I don't know. But it's staying locked until I found out." "How did your wallet get there?" "I don't know anything," he said, "except that I'm beginning to be sorry we bought that room for the children. If the children are neurotic at all, a room like that, it's supposed to help them work on their neurosis in a healthy way. I'm starting to wonder." He stared at the ceiling. I'm going to stop there because I think I noticed where the plot is starting to unfold here. We're starting to find out some more information. We're building the story. So we're kind of in the rising action. The conflict is just building and building and building the problem they're having with this room. So I'm going to, I think, this whole section, I'm going to underline it, and you may too. And I'm going to copy that because I think that's some good evidence for me to put into my double entry journal. So I'm just going to paste it there. I'm going to get rid of the underline. Maybe. There we go. And again, this is in chunk 7, so I need to make sure I mark that. So I'm kind of going to ask some questions and then maybe kind of answer a question here. How does the plot unfold, causing character change? So my first question, though, is why would Wendy is the daughter, have changed the veldt into something so creepy like a forest? This is starting to kind of get me a little worried about these two children, kind of what's going on with them, creating this really lifelike veldt with these lions and these really ferocious animals, and then this creepy forest. I might make an inference here, so I can say I can infer that the setting, so I'm kind of going back to the setting now, that the setting of the room is starting to impact the children in a negative way. I think this shows that the children are starting to have darker thoughts, we can say, some like kind of really strange thoughts. So I'm going to make sure I connect it to the plot then, I'm going to say the conflict is rising between the parents and the children slash I'm going to say the nursery, because nursery kind of represents the children a little bit because it is their thoughts. Whatever happens in the nursery comes from the children's thoughts. So as the conflict, we'll say, continues to grow, we can see that the children are becoming, a good word maybe, are becoming, you can say maybe stranger or more disobedient even towards their parents, and the parents are becoming more nervous as the plot unfolds. So, and the parents are starting to realize the children's negativity and have to put a stop to it. Okay, so I have my evidence and I've answered my question, right? So as the plot is unfolding, I don't think we've gotten to the climax quite yet. That really, really interesting part, that turning point in the story. I don't think we've gotten there yet, but I can definitely see how the conflict is rising here. And so I've answered this down here. I've answered some other questions up here. So now what you need to do for chunks 8 through 11 is the same thing, finding more evidence to show how the plot unfolds and causes character change, or where we see the character change. And you will definitely see some as you read the rest of the story. Good luck.